when I'm watching the fight when they just fought, I'm watching it, and somebody sitting next to me goes, "Who do you think won an MMA fight?" And I was like, "I think Anthony Joshua would beat Francis Ngannou." He goes, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, why?" And I was like, "Well, Anthony Joshua understands the void, which is distance, right? Because at the beginning of a fight, that's all it is. It's all about distance. Doesn't matter. It's not like Francis, and I love Francis, right? People, ladies and gentlemen out there, I am not the best fighter in the world. Okay, I do have my deficiencies. I do make mistakes when I fight. My goal is to be the perfect fighter, right? So everybody out there, bet against me, please. If I go just bet against me. That way, everybody can feel good about themselves. I don't know, right? So, get back on this tangent. Now, it's not that Francis is some world-class kickboxer. It's not like Francis is out there going bah bah bah. He's not throwing body kicks, leg kicks. He's not bah bah bah. He's not doing that.
Yeah.
You look at all Francis fights. He does have some submission wins. He does have where he takes somebody down. But if I could take a guy like Anthony Joshua, who's an athletic specimen, who understands range and distance, and I train him for 6 months. 6 months to defend a takedown, check the leg kick, and just box. You're not going to have your 16-ounce gloves. I'm taking your gloves to here. The distance doesn't change at all. It truly doesn't. For anybody out there who says it does, it doesn't. I've done both. I boxed before, and I've done MMA for 18 years, and I've been well-rounded. So if I can take someone who's athletic, which Anthony Joshua is athletic, it's easy to fight. Now, here's a flip side. Now, how would it go against Anthony Joshua versus John Jones? Different animal.
Right.
John Jones will go out there and force the clinch. He will go out there and force the wrestling exchange. Maybe Francis Ngannou would do that, right? But I don't think Francis would do that from the years I've seen him fight. That's how I view that fight. I'm not saying Francis is going to get destroyed, right? But I do believe he has a chance of beating him because he just knocked him the fuck out
right.
in a boxing match where Francis beat everybody in a boxing match, right? So that's my stipulation, and it's okay that people say that's the worst take ever. I don't.
Did you get a lot of shit for that?
I did, but I don't care what they think because this is how my mind thinks, right? When I see somebody who can beat somebody very dominant fashion in one realm, and he's been very successful in that realm, why can't that person be? And it's funny, somebody else who's a martial artist said, I agree with you 100%. And
who's that?
Not going to name any names.
Okay. Oh, it's a private conversation?
It was a private conversation.
Got it.
He goes, I agree with you 100%. I was like, why do you agree with me? He goes, because Francis has been very successful in the boxing world in MMA. He boxes people. Like I said, when he beat Stipe Miocic, yes, he threw some leg kicks. It's very easy to manage, right? It's not like a Edson Barboza leg kick. But him and Stipe were going back and forth. Stipe actually rocked him. I will go on and say Anthony Joshua is a better boxer than Stipe Miocic, right?
Yes, of course.
Not a better MMA guy, but there's so many people in mixed martial arts, I'll say it all the time. MMA is the easiest sport to become a world champion in. It truly is.
Why is that?
Because you have people who are very good at one thing and have so many holes and deficiencies in their game. I was just training with somebody, and we're working, and he said, "What happens if the person's not good in this realm?" And I said, "You just answered the question." He goes, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Say what you just said." He goes, "Well, what if that person's not good in that realm?" I was like, "He has a deficiency. He needs to work on that so he doesn't have that." Like for me, I tell him that all the time. Man, I want to pop. I want my 5-piece chicken nugget. He goes, "You can't get that 5-piece chicken nugget." The reason why is because this opponent is going to run away from you. When I fought Adriano, I was like, "Dude, I want to get in a position where I can land a 5-piece combination." He goes, "You can't do that." I was like, "Why not?" And I was like, "Because he's going to run. He's just going to continue to run." Right? This is when we're fighting him the second time. He's going to continue to run, and then once he stops, you might be able to hit him twice, and he's going to run again.
Right.
So that's why when I hit him, and then he fell, then I hit him with a knee. I couldn't get my 5-piece chicken nugget. But I'm forcing myself to get there, right? I'm always fighting guys who are taller than me. So if I was fighting someone who's shorter than me, I would force that 5-piece chicken nugget meal and the wrestling and the clinch. Where when I was talking to this gentleman, he was like, "I'm not efficient in that realm." I was like, "You need to become efficient because that's what Matt forced me to do." Matt will look at me after I beat someone. He goes, even now, Professor Young, he goes, you're in your gi game, you're very weak here. We're going to work on that because somebody's going to see that and put you in that realm again. So that's how my mind thinks when I'm watching.
And no ego. You don't get offended by this?
No, absolutely not. I came home. I just won fucking gold.
Yeah.
Somebody goes, "Dude, your fucking game is weak."
Wow.
And I was like, "We're going to work on it." let's work on it. And I'm like, I want my judo better. It's like, I'm always striving to be that perfect martial artist.
We were just talking about you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I said that about Francis Ngannou, how did you feel?
I remember you. Okay, so listen.
By the way, everyone.
First of all, congratulations on that fight. It was absolutely amazing.
Can I just introduce him? Eric Nicksick, 2023 Coach of the Year, Xtreme Couture, the man.
Hey.
Great hairstyle, great haircut. It's amazing. Okay, go, please. This is great.
Anytime anybody of your capacity says something about a fight, you have to look at it from different perspective.
Absolutely.
So so one of the guys, I just got off the phone with him actually, that I call regularly is Dean Thomas.
No, yeah, Dean.
Because Coach Dean will always give me the right, insightful thing that I need to hear, not what I want to hear. So when we get so caught up when you game plan or you do certain things, as I'm sure you would, you get tunnel vision and you get locked in on certain techniques and certain topics and certain this. But why does a sniper have somebody that sits next to him and looks at the entire environment? The sniper is focused on looking down the center of that scope. But then you have somebody that looks at the landscape. Are we getting flanked? Is this? Or is that? So when you say something, I don't look at it as like, oh, that hurt my feelings. I look at it like, oh, we didn't check that box, or we didn't think about this, or we didn't add to that, or next time, that's a great point. We're going to bring that up. So I think you have to set your ego aside is my point. I think the sport always has that like, oh, well, I know everything. No, you don't. To be a good coach, you have to remain coachable. That's the way I look at it.
Okay, so why are you asking him this? Because are you referring to the Francis thing?
Yeah.
Okay, because he said, and I think you said you wanted a little bit more color on it, that he said that Anthony in an MMA fight could beat.
Sure.
What was your reaction when you heard this?
My reaction is nothing. My reaction is, well, he sees something. Well, what is it that he sees so I can learn from that and go, okay, we have to hide this hole, right? We have to cover this up. So what he's saying is, because the way Anthony got on Francis so fast off his striking reads with 4-ounce gloves, that would be a problem. So what it tells me is, okay, where did we have our issues right away? Distance, covering distance, hands coming down, certain things like that Francis may have gotten away from or away with in the Tyson Fury fight that, credit to Ben Davison and that crew, they exploited. The moment we went to Southpaw, he jumped on us. They were ready for that. Yeah. So there was things that I think we needed to do better. So if this is an MMA fight, what would we've seen anecdotally that would have changed that same outcome if it was in just MMA? We would have gotten slept, 4-ounce gloves or not. So it tells me, hey, well, we have to show the element of level change. We have to kick the lead leg out. We have to do other things to keep distance, cut the cage off, and then blast double that fucker and put him on his back. Then it's in our realm, So what he's saying is absolutely true.
Your thoughts?
But the fact that he said that and he's talking about the distance and he changes and they exploited one thing where Francis in his past, he's been able to be successful with that because somebody's not been able to exploit that, right? And for him, that's why he's Coach of the Year, because he sees that. He goes, ooh, I never thought about that. And he's flipped in that right there. This is where you know you have an amazing coach. And his mindset in the game is a higher level to where other people are like, no, that wouldn't happen. He was like, let me take a step back.
Yeah.
Let me think about that. Instead of everybody out there and all the fucking naysayers are like, oh, no, you know what you're talking about. I was like, you guys, that's why you guys watch the sport. You watch great coaches like this bring amazing athletes to world championship level. And so for me to hear that, I'm happy to hear that, right? It's not a dig. It's like I'm seeing something. And I'm like, ooh. And he just said it. He can exploit that. They exploited it and they saw it and they jumped on it. And I'm just saying, let's say Francis, they never fought. Let's say they never fought before, right? And Anthony Joshua were to fight. And let's say Francis goes, I'm going to go southpaw on this motherfucker. In MMA, he goes southpaw. He goes, there's something.
Ready for that.
He wasn't ready for that, right? So, and I'm saying when Anthony Joshua, if they were to fight, this is all hypothetical, right? If they were to fight, the one thing Anthony Joshua hasn't been exposed to is the blast double and the kicks. So a good coach, they would watch Francis Ngannou's fights. Well, okay, we got to worry about his kicks. We got to worry about his double. Okay, we'll start defending leg kicks. We're defending double. But we have mastered and can hopefully exploit him on the feet because we've been doing it a lot longer to people in the past. I'm sure anybody, the next person who fights Anthony Joshua, let's say, Jake Paul and Francis Ngannou fight. Or who's the guy that Francis is about to fight next in the PFL? The tall guy. Renan Ferreira. He will sit there and watch that fight and goes, okay, we need to check the leg kick. We don't have to worry about Francis wrestling us. He's never going to wrestle. right? He hasn't shown it yet. So we're going to put it in the back. But we can't get to him with our hands because we are longer than him. So Francis is going to be like, hey, I want to play that outside game, make him miss. And then when I get the chance, I get inside that rim, I'm going to be working outside that arc to force him to turn, and I'm going to close him, and I'm going to wrestle and do whatever, right? So,
Can I throw out one rebuttal with all due respect? Perhaps you'll agree with me?
kick his ass, man.
I did see a little wrestling in Cyril Gane from Big Francis.
He did.
Did I not? Right?
He did. He did.
Yes.
And when he did that, the bigger takedowns came from Cyril Gane trying to kick Francis Ngannou. So if I was to coach Anthony Joshua, I'm like, we're not kicking him. I want you to be in a good position to where when Francis does shoot,
Down block. And defend.
I'm going to be in a good position where I'm pop out and get his head off me, and my right hand's going to land. Because I was working with another athlete, and I'm like, why are you shooting? He goes, he's a younger athlete coming up. His name is Brandon. We train together. And then he shot him, and I'm like, why the fuck are you shooting? He goes,
He had no rhyme or reason why.
He had no
He
rhyme
didn't
or reason.
understand why.
He didn't understand why. And I'm like, why are you shooting? He goes, because I'm trying to get you. And I was like, just walk towards me. And he goes, well,
We'll do that a lot. Like just what he's saying, it becomes a nature of like, I'm panicking.
Yep.
Call it panic wrestle.
Yep.
So you put somebody in a position where they're like, what is their number one instinct? Is it to throw an overhand? Is it to throw a check hook? Is it to shoot? You know, so when you put somebody on their back foot in panic mode, you're going to draw out their first natural panic instinct, and that's usually to wrestle if you come from a wrestling pedigree.
yep. And if he wrestled, and let's say Anthony Joshua was like, oh, he's wrestling, I'm going to sprawl, then Francis Ngannou's going to succeed in a takedown. But if I say, okay, when he panicked, if Francis was to panic wrestle, don't sprawl. Don't even react. Just get his face up.
Yeah.
Then he's in a better position. Then they're going to get back into boxing, right? So that's my mindset, how I'm looking at it, right? So
How many times have you, hold on, I love that.
I just don't want to say this is so fun.
I love this. How many times though, like on the flip side, even on the panic wrestle, when you see a guy hurt somebody and they shoot on him, you're like, well, why'd they shoot? And there's a panic to them in that I got to get this finish, but they go right to what their natural instinct is. Like, why did you just grapple there?
Right.
You know, like, yeah, no, I completely agree. I got to say, man, like, going back and watching like some of your old stuff, how
that was horrible.
No, but I mean, but how far ahead of the curve you were in understanding that there is no stance. There was no stance for you. Like you can hit from both stances, but the angles that you created were important because it wasn't necessarily about the offense, but you were sound defensively as well. I think a lot of people love to switch stances, but the cost of that is not having good defense on the backside, right? But early on, the evolution of what to me MMA became was in his era, the one Joe Benavidez and Mighty Mouse doing things out of both stances, but so clean and so pure that allowed like the later groups of guys, the Corey Sandhagens, if you will, and to kind of grow and develop into what he does. So man, like that was something like for me as a young coach or young guy coming up that I love to study about your game was not only that, but Coach Follis used to always say the space between the notes makes the music.
Yep.
So when you would hit a combination, your feint game, and watching dudes trying to react to what the hell was coming out of next, to me was one of your best attributes, which made you the GOAT in my opinion in a lot of those things.
Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You can get many more of these videos on the channel, so please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.